Wisconsin and Arizona both certify the election coming forward, which means that this makes the road even harder for President Trump. So we will see what is happening there. The Secretary of State in Georgia is investigating 250 counts of fraudulent ballots. So we'll talk about what's happening in Georgia. A Madison, Wisconsin high school student has become the possibly youngest person to die of coronavirus. We'll talk a bit about what's happening there. And a Florida boater who's been missing for 2 days is found alive, clinging to his capsized boat. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, folks. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar. We've got a bunch of stuff to get to today. A little bit of good, a little bit of bad. We'll see what's happening with this. And before we get into my normal promotion for the website here, I just wanted to see something here. And we will be coming back to look at Twitter trending later. But I know Twitter, and they're all going to change in the next hour. So I wanted to grab this one here and just point it out to you here. Because it says right on the trending tab over there, which Cat Turd is trending, by the way. If you don't follow that dude, follow that dude. He's hilarious. And he's trending for whatever reason. But this one here caught my attention just as I was getting ready to go live. And it says, Hannity. People respond to Fox News' Hannity after he said he doesn't vet the information on his TV program. Really? You didn't know that? I thought that one was perfectly obvious. Hannity is going to do whatever story sounds the best for the most powerful Republican in the country at the time. He's been doing it for 30, 40 years at this point. How long has he been on the air? 30 years? Yeah, he's been doing it for 30 years at this point. He will kneel down and suck off whoever the most powerful Republican in the country is at the time. Whether it's Boehner, whether it's McConnell, or whether it's Trump, or anybody else throughout the past. Bush. Of course he doesn't vet what's on his program. He doesn't vet what's on his radio program either. But I thought that was interesting. I wanted you guys to see that before we got started. And before we get into the news, head on over to freedomscoop.com. Freedomscoop.com is going to be your one-stop shop for all of your news and commentary needs. We carry great shows such as The Generational Gap, The Daily Ignoramus, The Freckles and Brit Show, The R-Rated Conservative, and The Breakdown with Birkenhoff. Come on over there, pick up some of our swag, and help us support great creators looking into the stocks and the news, looking at the Dow first, which dropped throughout the day. The futures said, oh, well, we're going to go down, but don't worry, it's going to go up. And then it dropped like a stone throughout the day. Came back up on another upswing and brought itself back up to just about even point, but for the most part, it stayed down throughout the day. I know that CNN is taking a victory lap right now. I've actually got that article up that says, oh, well, Trump said that the Dow was going to drop if Biden got elected, and now it's up. It's had its best month since 1987. Well, he's not making policy yet, first and foremost. And second off, I've been seeing a lot of drops lately, so, I mean, all I can go on is statistics. I'm not an analyst by any means. I just watch what it does every day, and right now it kind of looks like until somebody knows what the hell is going on, we don't know where it's going to go. So we will see what happens with that. Because Spartan always asks about the Bitcoin and mentions the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin right now, one Bitcoin equals $18,703.90. Thought you guys would enjoy hearing that. Let's look at what the investors have to say. Starting with Investors Business Daily, Dow Jones Futures signal stock market rally. Tesla, Moderna lead 5 big 2020 winners moving early. From Ed Carson. Dow Jones Futures, whoops, wrong window. This window is where I want it. Dow Jones Futures jumped Tuesday morning along with S&P 500 Futures and NASDAQ Futures on continued coronavirus vaccine optimism and strong China manufacturing data. Apple, Tesla, NIO, XPeng Motors, and Moderna stock were all rallying before the open, while Zoom Video Communications retreated. The stock market rally lost ground Monday, but came off lows, especially the NASDAQ, fueled by gains in Apple, Moderna, and AMD stock. In Monday's session, Apple stock flashed an early buy signal, while AMD broke out. Apple chipmaker Qorvo also cleared a buy point. The S&P 500 index will add Tesla stock in one fell swoop before December 21st. The S&P Dow Jones indices announced late Monday. Meanwhile, China rivals NIO and XPeng Motors reported November deliveries early Tuesday. Moderna just kept soaring. On the downside, Zoom Video, the ultimate coronavirus play, reported better than expected results and upside guidance, but Zoom Video stock fell solidly before the open because people realize they're going back to work. Tesla and Zoom Video stock are two of the biggest 2020 winners, up 578% and 603% respectively as of Monday's close, but Moderna stock is 681% year to date. NIO stock is up 1,157% so far in 2020. Recent initial public offering XPeng stock is up just 291%, though it tripled in November alone. Apple stock, the ultimate mega cap, rose before the open after closing right at an aggressive entry. On Monday, Chinese stocks struggled on a variety of factors, including looming House vote on legislation that could lead to delisting from U.S. markets. Fraud allegations versus EV maker Candy Technologies didn't help. E-commerce giants JD.com, Pinduoduo, and Alibaba suffered significant losses. Tesla electric car rivals NIO, XPeng, and Li Auto also retreated. JD.com, Pinduoduo, AMD, and Tesla are on the IBD leaderboard. Apple stock is on the leaderboard watch list. AMD and Tesla are on Swing Trader. AMD is also on the IBD 50. All those big businesses that your congresspeople and your state legislations and your governors got the small businesses out of the way so they could compete. And now these people are going to go back and donate to all these big politicians. Just you watch. On the futures rose 1.1% on the Dow versus fair value. S&P 500 futures climbed 1%. NASDAQ 100 futures advanced 0.95%. Apple stock gave a lift to the Dow Jones, S&P 500, and NASDAQ. There are renewed efforts to push for a fresh stimulus deal, at least on unemployment benefits. It's unclear if House Democrats and Senate Republicans will budget on their demands. So they're going to go out, they're going to try and spend some more of your money here, and nobody knows what will happen with that, especially with Congress being at its 50-50 split. So we will see what is coming from there. Check that out as we go along. Let's see what CNBC has to say. The Dow is set to jump more than 300 points to start December, following its best month in 3 decades. From Fred Imbert. U.S. stock futures jumped on Tuesday, indicating the Dow Jones Industrial Average will start December, continuing its historic rally from November. Dow futures surged 349 points, or 1.2%. The move implied a higher open of 395 points. S&P 500 futures rose 1.1%. NASDAQ 100 futures gained 0.9%. The Dow rallied 11.8% in November, posting its best one-month performance since January 1987. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ Composite rose 10.8% and 11.8% respectively, for their strongest monthly advances since April. After November's gain, the S&P 500 is up 12.1% for 2020. December looks like it'll be a very strong finish for 2020, wrote Tom Lee of Fundstrat Global Advisors, who cited data that showed during bull markets when S&P 500 was up more than 10% through November for the year, it always added to that gain in December. Well, we'll see. I don't know what's going to happen. The holiday season's going to come in. Keep that in mind. But the holiday season, when everybody's broke because nobody went to work for the last 9 months, that's going to be something to watch. So I don't know what's going to happen on this 2020. November's rally came amid a slew of positive coronavirus vaccine news, which lifted hope of a strong economic recovery. In the latest development on that front, Pfizer and BioNTech applied to the European Medicine Agency for conditional marketing authorization of their coronavirus vaccine, potentially enabling the vaccine to be used in Europe before the end of 2020. So, that's what they have to say here. And as promised, CNN is taking a big victory lap because now they have a Democrat in the Oval Office, potentially, that they can kneel down and suck off, just like Hannity has done to Trump for the last 4 years. From CNN Business, markets now. Trump said the stock market would crash if Biden won. The Dow just had its best month since 1987. From Matt Egan, President Trump repeatedly warned Americans that if they failed to re-elect him, the stock market would implode. In reality, the opposite happened. Between August and October alone, Trump spent 6 weeks saying markets would crash if Joe Biden were elected, using a word presidents typically avoid. The Dow Jones Industrial closed just above 29,000. You are so lucky to have me as your president, Trump wrote on September 2nd. With Joe Biden, it would crash. Yet no post-election meltdown emerged. If anything, markets melted up as nightmare election scenarios were avoided and investors celebrated coronavirus vaccine breakthroughs from Pfizer and Moderna. The S&P 500 notched its best election week rally since 1932, and despite a sharp pullback Monday, the Dow soared nearly 12%. In November, the best month since January of 1987. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ enjoyed their best month since April. In terms of Biden being bad for the market, we can already see the opposite is true, said Daryl Jones, Director of Research at Hedgie Risk Management. Once again, he has not made a single policy. Now, I could see a little bit of a market bounce when Trump was president-elect, not because he had made a single policy, but he was already out there talking to business leaders. Biden's not doing that. He was out there saying, what do you need? What can I do for you? How can I make your business better so you can employ more people? He was out on Trump One or whatever the hell he calls his personal airplane, going out and doing that right from the beginning. Biden is standing up on podiums when he can be seen at all saying, come on, man, I got hairy legs. So there is a bit of a difference. And yes, I understand that Trump had not made a single policy either at this point in his budding presidency. But he was at least being proactive about this. So we will see what actually happens when Joe is making policy. And I could be completely wrong. And he might stimulate the economy to 40,000 on the Dow. Some of that might come as inflation. But we'll see. Let's keep going. From CNN. Wisconsin governor certifies state's electoral votes for Biden, from Samira Said and Marshall Cohn and Devon Cole. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers on Monday formally certified Joe Biden's victory, signing the paperwork to award the state's 10 electoral votes to the president-elect after a recount in Wisconsin's 2 most populous counties. Today, I carried out my duty to put my boot on the neck of the Wisconsin people and certify the November 3rd election. And as required by state and federal law, I've signed the certificate of ascertainment for the slate of electors for President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Evers, a Democrat, said in a statement. I want to thank our clerks, election administrators, and poll workers across our state for working tirelessly to ensure that we had a safe, fair, and efficient election. Well, we didn't, but the reason that Evers is the one doing the certification is because we also didn't have a safe, fair, and efficient election. The governor signed the paper shortly after the Wisconsin Elections Commission finalized the statewide results. Biden's victory was affirmed after the Trump campaign requested recount in 2 counties. Though President Trump's campaign has pledged to further challenge the state's results in court, the governor's certification stands as a significant blow to Trump's long-shot attempts to overturn the election results in several states, including Wisconsin. No, it doesn't. We knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen back in September. I knew exactly what was going to happen for this. They were going to do something shifty. Biden was going to take the state. Evers was going to do everything he could to certify it. And it was going to go to the courts. I told you about this in September that this was going to happen. So this is going exactly the way I predicted so far. Election officials have now certified results in a number of other states. Trump has launched legal battles including Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Nevada, and Arizona, which certified its results earlier on Monday. So, Wisconsin has gone to Biden. As far as the certification goes, we will see what the courts have to say. I don't know, 45% positive. 45% as far as certainty as to whether Trump can get it. I think this is 65%, or that would be 55%. 55% in Biden's favor right now, with the way that the legislation is stacked, the fact that they didn't do shit for us in this state, and the way the court is stacked in my state. 55-45 in Biden's favor right now as to what happens when this goes to the courts. So, we'll see. I'm actually looking forward to seeing this and seeing some stuff get challenged. Let's keep going here. On the other end of the country, Arizona and Wisconsin officially declare Biden beat Trump in those states. This is from CNBC, from Kevin Bräuninger and Dan Mangan. Arizona and Wisconsin on Monday officially declared that Joe Biden defeated President Trump in each of those states, damaging Trump's long-shot efforts to reverse his projected loss in the Electoral College. Trump, who won both states in the 2016 election, failed to invalidate votes for Biden in legal challenges in Arizona and through a recount of 2 counties' results in Wisconsin. Biden, the former Democratic vice president, narrowly defeated the incumbent Republican in both states. Arizona, which has 11 Electoral College votes at state earlier Monday, certified its election results. Biden had beat Trump by more than 10,000 votes there. WEC Commission Chairperson Ann Jacobs later in the day signed a so-called determination of the results in that state, which has 10 electoral votes. Biden outpolled Trump by more than 20,000 votes in the Badger State. Yeah, I don't buy that either, but there was a lot of shifty shit that happened with that one. A determination gives the losing candidate, in this case Trump, the right to appeal the results and seek a recount. Trump has 5 days to do so. Trump's campaign already had paid $3 million for a recount of the votes in Wisconsin's Milwaukee and Dane counties, which went heavily for the Democratic nominee Biden in the elections. On Sunday, officials said the recount found that Biden had actually gained 87 more votes in both counties. Biden is projected to clinch the 306 such votes nationwide, that's a psyop right there, compared with 232 for Trump. Biden is the first Democrat since 1996 to win Arizona's presidential contest. Before signing the canvass document certifying the election, Arizona Secretary of State Katie Hobbs praised her state for conducting easily the smoothest and most secure election in recent history, even amid the coronavirus pandemic. Yeah, they're making a victory lap for themselves too. I mean, you can see this in Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona now, Pennsylvania even. Well, this was the smoothest and safest and fairest election. Oh, there's no problems here. There's nothing wrong here. No, safest election ever, smoothest election ever. No problems, no problems. Until you actually buy it. So, we'll see what's happening with the court in both of these states. Let's keep going. From Fox News. Trump lawyers allege Arizona election fraud conspiracy in GOP hearing. And of course, they had to put that in quotes because they're in the tank for the left at this point, as is most of your mainstream news. This is from Evie Fordham. President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, urged Arizona state legislators to get to the bottom of an alleged voter fraud conspiracy during a hearing on Monday, the same day that the state certified the election for Democrat presidential-elect Joe Biden. You had numerous situations of your workers, your citizens, observing the poll, officials helping people vote to the point of telling them to do so, or telling them who to vote for, Giuliani said. Poll workers being observed changing votes, taking ambiguous votes, and making sure they were cast for Biden. Giuliani questioned retired Army Colonel Phil Waldron, presented as cybersecurity expert during the meeting, which was attended by Arizona state lawmakers and Representative Paul Gosar. Waldron also spoke at Giuliani's meeting about election fraud concerns with Pennsylvania state lawmakers last week. Waldron warned of potential voter fraud in Arizona's Maricopa and Pima counties, the state's two most populous counties, and said that Dominion's voting machines are vulnerable to hackers or on-site manipulation. Waldron claimed that a Maricopa County official said the county did not validate signatures on some ballots, creating a 1.9 million vote fraud potential. That official has not produced an affidavit, he said. Waldron also claimed that a witness from Pima County said votes were embedded in various precincts to achieve a Biden win. What I take from your testimony, Colonel, is that 35,000 votes were embedded to each Democratic candidate in Pima County. The allegation by the gentleman, who hasn't given us an affidavit, Giuliani said, "We don't know if the gentleman is telling the truth or not." So far, courts and local election officials have not found evidence of widespread voter fraud, enough to overturn the results of the election. Biden ended up carrying the state by just over 10,000 votes, or 0.3% of the vote. 11 electoral college votes were up for grabs in Arizona. Dominion, which is used by several states, has pushed back against such claims. Michael Steele, a spokesman for Dominion, previously denied claims that votes cast through the company's systems were at risk of being altered. He said it is physically impossible to alter votes in the system. Look, when a voter votes on a Dominion machine, they fill out a ballot on a touchscreen. They're given a printed copy, which they then give to a local election official for safekeeping. If any electronic interference had taken place, the tally reported electronically would not match the printed ballots, and in every case where we've looked at it in Georgia, all across the country, the printed ballot, the gold standard in election security, has matched the electronic tally, he said. I don't know why nobody understands and nobody believes that there's a possibility that voting machines and touchscreen voting machines are a problem. We heard all the way back in Bush, all the way back, no, not in Clinton, because they didn't have touchscreens back then, but all the way back with Bush 2. For Bush 2, for Barack, for Trump. We've heard of people going in on both sides saying, I touched one candidate on the touchscreen and it just tried to vote for the other candidate. I don't know what's happening, but it won't let me vote for this candidate. And it's gone on both parties. And people still trust this as long as they get their way. And that's the big one. It's as long as they get their way, they trust this. We see it here in Wisconsin. We saw it in Michigan. I pointed it out last night when we were talking about Governor Whitmer and her pageantry with signing the certification documents and putting it right up on Twitter to see. We know there are problems with these machines, and we've known it forever. Nobody trusts them as long as the other guy won. So, and yeah, we've seen it go both directions. But as of right now, it's going to the courts. We will see what happens in Wisconsin and Arizona and possibly Georgia as well. From Fox 5, Georgia Secretary of State announces investigations into voter registration groups from Claire Sims and Fox 5 Digital Team. Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger announced Monday that his office has opened investigations into the activities of 4 voter registration organizations ahead of the January 5th Senate runoffs. The groups include America Votes, Vote Forward, the New Georgia Project, and Operation New Voter Registration Georgia. According to Raffensperger, America Votes has sent absentee ballots applications to people at addresses where they have not lived since 1994. America Votes has mailed registered voters in Georgia applications to safely and securely vote by mail in the January runoffs. These mailings were sent to the list of registered voters maintained by the Secretary of State, said America Votes spokesperson Sahil Mehrotra in an email to Fox 5. We're pleased that so many Georgians have already applied to vote by mail this election, and will continue our work to make sure every voice is heard in January. Raffensperger claimed Vote Forward tried to register a dead Alabama woman to vote in Georgia, and that the New Georgia Project sent voter registration applications to New York City. Wow, that makes me think of the old Pace commercials from when I was a kid in the 90s. This salsa was made in New York City. New York City! Neither organization has responded for requests for comment. Finally, Secretary Raffensperger alleged that Operation New Voter Registration, Georgia, advised college students that they could change their residency to Georgia in order to vote in January and then change it back after the election. Yeah, that's illegal. That's illegal as fuck. But the question I have here for Raffensperger is the fact that he is insistent that this is happening in this election. Don't you think that this could have been happening in the other one? Maybe you ought to look a little bit closer at the election that just finished up, too. Maybe you should. I would. But of course, if you do that, you'll find a combat knife stuck in your door with a death threat underneath it. So, we'll see with that. Let's keep going. From The Blaze. Far left actress Bette Midler rips conservatives, wealthy people's sailing bias in their yachts. Then she is reminded of her bank account. From Dave Urbanski. Far left actress Bette Midler and longtime member of the Hollywood elite is taking it in the chin for a tone-deaf tweet in which she ripped conservatives and wealthy people, sailing bias in their yachts. Bette Midler on Sunday hopped on Twitter and made her case. How will Americans make any progress with hashtag Moscow Mitch and as hashtag Senate Majority Leader? He'll block every piece of legislation created to move us forward because that's the definition of conservatism. We'll be treading water for years, except the rich sailing bias in their yachts. Yeah, that's the way the government works. What was the reaction? Some folks who read Midler's tweet were more than a little bit taken aback by her hypocrisy. I agree, Bette, and I'm a huge fan, but if I'm not mistaken, you're pretty rich, one commenter wrote back. So while I agree that Mitch needs to go, you probably shouldn't call out rich people when you're one of them. Maybe call out rich people and get them to support the cause and help out. Just a suggestion. You are the rich, LOL, another observer said. McConnell isn't the most conservative, but he's wise for blocking anything you call moving forward. You wouldn't know the definition of conservatism even if someone explained it to you in third grade level terms in crayon. What's your net worth, Bet Baby? Another commenter asked. Why haven't you put your money where your loud mouth is and given it away voluntarily to help the worse off than you? Why do you still live as a rich person? Could it be because you're just another hypocrite piece of shit? Why, yes. Yes, it is. And yes, these people are coming back. These actors and actresses are coming out and railing against the rich because they want these young progressives to come out and spend money for their movies. Not only that, I'm sure that some of them are looking back and saying, well, we helped the cause. We talked about the cause and we railed against conservatives. Oh, good Politburo overlords. Please let us be in your club and let us keep our riches. We don't want to be like the little people. I'm sure there's a level of that that's going on with there too. Here's a picture there. An angry philosopher with space buns. Thank God for Bette slumming it down here with the rest of us, only worth a lowly $250 million. How do you do, fellow poors? I think my favorite part of the tweet is when she's like, the rich sailing bias in their yachts. Bette. Yeah, that's fun. That's fun. And yeah, they're hoping that once they get the cause in there, then when they come to take all the money away from the rich people, that the Hollywood elites will get left alone. Let's keep going. From the Daily Wire. Joe Biden reportedly working with teachers union that opposes charter schools, from Ash Shao. America's largest teachers union says it's been working with Joe Biden as part of his transition team after releasing a policy playbook suggesting Biden curb access to charter and private schools. Becky Pringle, president of the National Education Association, told the Wall Street Journal that the largest teachers union is working with Biden and considers him a partner. Partner. He has been working closely with us over these last few months to listen and understand what the issues are that we're facing in this moment. We know that we have a partner, Pringle said. The New York Post reported that Biden has called for a ban on federal funding for charter schools that are operated by for-profit companies, which account for 12% of charter schools, according to the National Alliance for Public Charter Schools. President Barack Obama did not try to hamper charter school expansion during his administration, during which Biden was the vice president. The move may not sit well with Democrats in urban communities who have seen the success of charter schools. Shavar Jeffries, president of Democrats for Education Reform, told the Journal that minority students have performed well in charter schools. Yes, but every time you have a charter school, you put the job of a teachers' union shill at risk. That's the problem. It's the teachers' union. If you got them out of the way, well, we probably wouldn't be having the push for charter schools right now if there wasn't a teachers' union. The data is consistently clear that nonprofit public charter schools, particularly in our urban communities that serve our African American and Latino students, have performed well. For that reason, there's also a very strong support among African American and Latino parents for charter schools, Jeffries said. Jeannie Allen, chief executive for the Center of Education Reform, also expressed concern to the Journal regarding Biden's partnership with the teachers' union. I absolutely am deeply concerned that a union-controlled Biden education department could have a chilling effect on the progress that the states and parents have made in securing educational options and excellence for the kids, Allen said. Yeah, and I've said this before, but I used to date a girl who is a teacher for a Milwaukee choice school, which is the charter program for them. Getting vouchers to get some of the kids out of the public schools where they're failing, and as long as they keep their noses clean and their grades up, to get them into some of these private schools around. Now, she was teaching on the elementary level, which is where it starts, because, you start getting into some of these inner city public schools where the teachers don't care and can't lose their jobs because the union is there, and they have no opportunity. Whereas they get out of Milwaukee and into West Dallas or Wauwatosa or New Berlin or places around the rest of the city where it's a smaller class size, where the teachers care and they know that if they start to screw up, there's no union sitting there to back them. But I kind of figured that the union was going to get involved with Biden because, that's part of the reason I considered writing him in 2008. Because I was just coming out of my Union Democrat phase at the time. And I knew that he was a big union guy, so we'll see what happens off of that. Once again, assuming that he does get himself asterisked in, and that does seem to be a little bit more plausible as we go along. We'll see what happens with that. Let's keep going. From Fox. MSNBC's Andrea Mitchell hits Biden team for not being forthcoming about president-elect foot injury. And now they hate Andrea Mitchell. From Joseph A. Wolf's Own. MSNBC anchor Andrea Mitchell dinged the Biden team Monday for their lack of transparency about the president-elect's foot injury over the holiday weekend. On Sunday, Biden's doctor announced that the president-elect had twisted his ankle the day before while playing with his dog, Major. The injury will likely require Biden to wear a walking boot. Initial x-rays are reassuring that there's no obvious fracture, and he will be getting an additional CT for more detailed imaging, Dr. Kevin O'Connor said in a statement. Follow-up CT scan confirmed hairline fractures of President-elect Biden's lateral and intermediate cuneiform bones, which are in the midfoot. It is anticipated that he will likely require a walking boot for several weeks. On Monday, Mitchell pointed out that it wasn't until Sunday that the White House press pool found that Biden was going somewhere, which ended up being a visit to the doctor. She suggested it should not have taken so long for the public to find out. They weren't as forthcoming as you would hope they would be with the press pool that's supposed to cover him, the NBC News correspondent said. PBS NewsHour White House correspondent Yamiche El-Sindor appeared to agree with Mitchell's sentiment, asking how forthcoming is the incoming Biden administration going to be, and noting there's already been tensions between the transition team and the press regarding early lids being called. Yeah, that's pretty well true too. There's been no transparency with the Biden administration. Something happens, and then he goes out and calls a lid on the day, and then he's gone. But he's also 79 years old. I do have to wonder if they're going to try and keep him in the White House, per se, doing Weekend at Biden's for a few weeks after he passes away from dementia, just to make sure it doesn't look too obvious that Kamala got through and became the president as part of a plan. I have no idea what's happening here, but we're going to close this tab and keep going. From the Blaze, I think this is it for election news right now. Excuse me. Steven Crowder checked the status of his ballot in Texas and found someone could have voted for under his name in Michigan. Best case scenario, this is a broken system. From Carlos Garcia, conservative comedian and Blaze TV host Steven Crowder said that he saw bizarre anomalies when he tried to track his ballot and the ballots of his family from November's election. The results from the 2020 election have been questioned by President Trump and his allies after high problems associated with the rush to vote by mail because of the coronavirus pandemic. Crowder documented the anomalies of the votes from his wife, his grandmother, and his own vote on his show on Monday. Haven't listened to that yet. He said that both his wife and his grandmother voted with absentee ballots, but that when he went to track down their ballots, he saw that his grandmother's ballot was not in the system, and neither was the ballot of his wife. Give that just a second because the browser is locked up. Crowder went through the process to show how someone might track the ballot in Michigan and enter the information for his wife to show that there was no status on whether they had received the ballot. Crowder then said that he discovered that he was registered in Michigan even though he had personally registered in Texas and voted there. Let's bring up this from the news outlet Forbes. Michigan's law is that everyone's registered to vote gets a ballot, and so they don't have to be requested, he explained. This was signed into law. Everyone registered to vote gets a ballot, so someone living at this address, where I no longer live, this is an old residence, received my ballot. As to whether they voted, I don't know, Crowder continued. All I know is my wife voted in Michigan. My wife voted absentee. My grandmother voted absentee, who lives in Michigan 100% of the days of the year. And the information we have from their absentee vote is exactly the same information we have on my voter registration in Michigan. Which is false, he added. So, best case scenario, this is a broken system where you cannot check the status of your absentee ballot, Crowder said. That's interesting. That somebody so high, that they would do it with somebody so high profile. I don't know. I checked to make sure that I haven't lived outside of state either, but I checked to make sure I hadn't voted in the last district that I lived in, and I have not. But that's something you should check on, especially if you've lived out of state at some point recently. Go check and see if you voted in the old state. I never held residence in Massachusetts. So there's no way that I could have voted there, and I would have never registered anyway, because even if I had voted when I lived out there, which I hadn't, I would have registered and voted absentee here in Wisconsin where my residence was. But, yeah, if you've lived outside of state at any point recently, outside of the state you currently live in, go double check to make sure you didn't vote in your previous state. All right, let's keep going. From CNN Politics, Dr. Scott Atlas resigns from the Trump administration. From Caitlin Collins, Jim Acosta. Look at me. I'm Jim Acosta. Look over here. Look at me. And Devon Cole. Dr. Scott Atlas, a highly controversial member of the White House's coronavirus task force, has resigned from his post in the Trump administration. A source familiar with what happened told CNN that Atlas turned in his resignation letter to President Trump on Monday. As a special government employee, Atlas had a 130-day window in which he could serve, and that window is technically coming to a close this week. Atlas tweeted out a photo of his resignation letter Monday. In the letter, he said that his advice was always focused on minimizing all the harms from both the pandemic and the structural policies themselves, especially to the working class and the poor. I sincerely wish the new team all the best as they guide the nation through these trying, polarized times, he wrote, apparently referring to President-elect Joe Biden's incoming coronavirus team. Atlas appeared on Fox News on Monday to celebrate the comments from the New York Democratic governor and Dr. Anthony Fauci about reopening schools in the state just moments after his departure was announced. So, he's out. We didn't hear much about Atlas. We always heard about Fauci. In one extraordinary episode in October, Twitter removed a tweet from Atlas that sought to undermine the importance of face masks because it was a violation of the platform's COVID-19 misleading information policy, which means it didn't go with the Democrat Party narrative, according to a spokesman for the company. So, yeah, this guy came out, told you what actually was going on with this, and he got silenced by Twitter. So, Godspeed, Dr. Scott Atlas. Looks like you might be getting up to be around retirement age anyway, so hopefully you can enjoy your retirement. From the Daily Wire, LA County used federal COVID relief funds to recruit celebrity influencers for coronavirus PR campaign. From Emily Zanotti. Los Angeles County used millions in federal coronavirus relief dollars meant to help struggling Californians stay afloat during extended pandemic-related economic lockdowns to fund no-bid contracts with two public relations agencies who recruited celebrity influencers to help spread coronavirus messaging on social media. Because of course they did. A local media investigation revealed that LA County has extended agreements with two PR firms hired to guide the county's COVID-19 messaging and is using Federal CARES Act money to offset part of the cost for their contracts, which now total $2.9 million. Because of course they did. The contracts, Fox 11 notes, were no bid and were first inked back in early 2020, around the time the coronavirus pandemic began. The county has since extended those contracts at a significant cost to federal taxpayers, even though the county has already fully staffed communications department that is likely capable of handling the increased workload associated with passing along the county's coronavirus information. There's one thing the county can't do, though, that the two PR firms can: hire celebrities to help convince the public of importance of coronavirus abatement measures. Part of the PR firm's duties included recruiting celebrity influencers to help with the coronavirus messaging on social media. Yes, we'll do whatever you tell us. Just leave our money alone when you take over. Please, okay? Leave our money alone, we promise. We will virtue signal whatever way you want to. So that happened. Let's keep going. From Fox Business. Waffle House CEO slams coronavirus lockdowns for pulverizing restaurant industry. From Talia Kaplan. Waffle House CEO Walt Emer slammed coronavirus lockdowns on Monday, telling Varney & Company that they are devastating to those in the restaurant industry. Our people have been decimated by these restrictions, Emer told host Stuart Varney. And when you look at the states where people are not allowed to work, they're taking away people's livelihood. We're taking away their hope for a future, especially this time of the year. People can't consider buying their kids Christmas presents. Which is why I said we will see what happens coming up in November, and December rather, with the markets. When only the rich people can go out and buy stuff for their kids. That unemployment's running out. And yes, they're going to try and push another stimulus. Possibly, they're going to try and push another one. We'll see how well they do. But that money is going to run out at some point. It's devastating to the people, and the people can't wait until spring, he stressed. Emer made the comments as numerous governors throughout the country have reinstated safety precautions in recent weeks to combat the rapid spike in coronavirus cases just weeks before large family gatherings and getaway trips traditionally planned for the holidays. As of Monday, 13.4 million cases have been reported to the United States since the COVID-19 pandemic started in early 2020. According to the data provided by Johns Hopkins University, public health officials fear holiday travel will exacerbate its spread. Yeah, the cases, they're going up. Those cases, they're going up. The deaths? Not so much. But they don't tell you about that anymore. And yes, he's absolutely right. He is 100% right on that. There is no reason at this point, especially if masks work the way that they say that they do. But even after everyone stood shoulder to shoulder to protest or to celebrate the Biden win, either way you go, there's no reason that we can't start opening back up. But they're going to keep finding a reason. Let's keep going. From The Hill, Rand Paul says Fauci owes parents and students an apology over pandemic measures. From Dominic Mastrangelo. Senator Rand Paul scolded Dr. Anthony Fauci in a tweet on Sunday, suggesting the nation's leading infectious disease expert apologize for his warnings about the danger the coronavirus poses to school-age children. Dr. Fauci owes Rand Paul an apology, one of Paul's Twitter followers said. Paul responded, "No, he owes one to every single parent and school-age child in America. I told him this multiple times this summer." Fauci and Paul have clashed several times since the pandemic began, with a Kentucky Republican accusing Fauci of fear-mongering rhetoric and what he says is incorrect praise of so-called lockdown measures implemented to stem the spread of the virus. And it didn't do that. That's the problem. If lockdowns worked, why are we looking at this and saying, well, we've got a second wave? None of this worked. All right, let's keep going. Not much to see in there. We know that those two are on each other's head. That's a video. I pulled that from the wrong place. Let's keep going. From CBS News, locally for me too, by the way, Madison, Wisconsin high school student dies of COVID-19 complications. A high school student in Madison, Wisconsin has died after a brief coronavirus-related illness, according to officials. In an email to students and families, East High School's principal said junior Isaiah Morocho died unexpectedly during the Thanksgiving break. Principal Brendan Kearney described Morocho as a caring friend and family member with a ready smile and great sense of humor, as well as an excellent student who enjoyed theater and had talked about becoming a chef and owning his own business. A GoFundMe page set up to cover the cost of Morocho's funeral said that the teenager had no bad bone in his body. A Madison Metropolitan School District spokesperson confirmed to CBS affiliate WISC-TV that this is the first student in the district who has died of COVID-related causes. The district issued a statement on Monday. All of MMSD is heartbroken to learn of the passing of an East High School student due to COVID-19 related causes. Our community has lost a wonderful young person, and when a school family experiences a tragedy, especially the loss of a young life, it deeply impacts all of us. In the days ahead, MMSD will be focused on providing our students, families, and staff the support needed in order to help them process the tremendous loss. I would like to see if there was any sort of underlying cause, because this is a major anomaly if this is true. But we see anomalies here and there. It's not the trend for somebody this young to pass away. Remember that doctor, like way back at the beginning of this, that got the COVID and lost like 70 pounds of muscle mass? He was a completely jacked rock climber or whatever the hell. And then as soon as he got the Rona, he lost 70 pounds and he was like, ribs showing and everything else out like that. I'm guessing there was an underlying condition that went along there too. But occasionally anomalies happen. Or occasionally there was something else going on in there that nobody knew about until he got the disease that exacerbates immunocompromised people. We don't know. I do note, though, a high school student in Madison, Wisconsin has died after a brief coronavirus-related illness. So they're being very careful with their words here to not tell you that he died of coronavirus, but that it was related to coronavirus. I would like to see what this kid passed away from. It's a little bit morbid, I know, but just to see what they're trying to hide into the statistics. All right, let's keep going. From the AP, Fuller sticking with Vanderbilt football after historic kick I haven't covered this story yet because I didn't find it worth it. But they're going to keep going with this, and they're going to keep trying to shove it down your throat. So now we got to talk about it. From Teresa M. Walker. Vanderbilt's Sarah Fuller, the most famous walk-on in college football this season, isn't ready to walk away from the sport. After the soccer player turned kicker became the first woman to play in a Power 5 conference football game, Fuller said she wants to remain a member of the team. "I'll stay around as long as they want me, till they, kick me off," Fuller said on Sunday, "so I'm here for the long run." Yeah, who's going to be the one that wants to kick the first woman who kicked in a college football game, in a big-name college football game? Who's going to be the one that wants to kick her off the team? Anybody? In affirmative action world? I can't believe that any coaching staff would be lining up to be the first person to do that. Hell, they might make a Hallmark movie about that. Fuller stayed in the COVID-19 testing protocol and was attending meetings Sunday with Vanderbilt, 0-8, a day after making history by kicking off to open the second half of a 41-0 loss to Missouri. Fuller executed a squib kick that traveled 30 yards, 30 whole yards, before the ball was smothered by Missouri with no chance for a return. Vanderbilt coach Derek Mason, who was fired on Sunday, turned to Fuller because COVID-19 issues had left the team with few options for kicking specialists. Graduate transfer Oren Milstein, a 5'7" kicker, had opted out before the season. The other kickers on the Vanderbilt roster are 6' Pearson Cook and 6'1" Wes Farley. Vanderbilt is just 3 of 7 on field goals this season, with Cook's 41-yarder at Mississippi State the longest made. Yeah. Who's going to be the one on the coaching staff that's going to be the one that lets go of the first female kicker? Who's going to be the guy that's going to go under the guillotine for that one? Let's keep going. From Newsmax, which I rarely ever use on this show, but I thought this one was pertinent, and nobody else was covering it. Brett Favre, sports fans don't want political messaging at games. From Kathy Burke. Hall of Fame NFL quarterback Brett Favre says fans don't want political messaging mixed with their sports, and that a drop in television viewers reflects that. In an interview last week on Sinclair Broadcasting's America This Week, the former Green Bay Packers field general said that he doesn't judge anyone who does or doesn't kneel during the national anthem at football games. "I'm glad I don't have to deal with that," he said of the controversy over the social justice gesture. "I'm not saying who's right or wrong," he said, adding, "There's a lot of things that need to be fixed in this world. We can all work together." But he defended his remarks in a video question of the president during a virtual town hall held by America This Week, remarking that there was a reason behind the drop in NFL viewership on TV. "Fans clearly don't want political messaging mixed with their sports, so how do leagues deal with racism?" Favre asked Trump, a remark that angered some watchers, host Eric Bowling noted. "I don't pay attention," Favre replied to Bowling. "Most people thought it was a good question," he said. "All the haters can't wait to get on their phones." Favre also said, "All of us, the older generation, we're worried about the direction this country's headed. It's frightening what it's going to be like 20, 30 years from now, but I can't imagine it being pleasant." Favre spoke openly about his opioid addiction during his early years with the Packers following a shoulder separation he suffered in his first year with the team. "I remember vividly getting hurt," he said, adding, "He just turned 22. I just started eating pain pills." And, Brett's made some questionable decisions in his tenure with football, including going and playing for the Minnesota Vikings of all teams. That much I can say. He has made some questionable decisions, but he is right on the nose off of this. There's a reason that I've not watched a single NFL game this year. Because I don't want to sit and watch people kneel, see Black Lives Matter on people's helmets. I don't care what your politics are, as long as you're throwing the football. And Brett Favre did come from a simpler time. He came from a much simpler time with this. Favre came from a time where there was no social media. You didn't know what a person's politics were when they were standing at the back screaming, Blue 48! Blue 48! You didn't know. And I don't want to know. I've said this with numerous other things. When I sit down and watch a sporting game, when I sit down and watch a movie, which is why I haven't sat down and watched a lot of movies or modern TV shows. When I sit down and watch a Twitch streamer, I don't want a political lecture. When I'm getting to that point, I want to sit down and turn my brain off and watch somebody throw a football or ride a bull or play in a movie, whatever the story might be in the movie, or play a video game. That's what I'm there for, not a political lecture. If I wanted a political lecture, I would turn on Fox fucking News. So, that's what we're seeing off of that. And yeah, Brett is absolutely right. So, thank you, Brett Favre. Let's keep going. I got just a couple more, then we'll do Twitter trending and head on out of here. From the Blaze, Senator Joe Manchin takes a dig at fellow Democrat AOC. She's more active on Twitter than anything else. From Breck Dumas. West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin took a swipe at fellow Democrat Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, appearing to question the New York representative's effectiveness in Congress and accusing her of being more active on Twitter than anything else. I think she's more active on Instagram than Twitter, to be honest, because she's always doing that Instagram Live, he said, while sitting currently on Instagram Live. No regrets. During a recent interview with the New York Times, Manchin was asked about the far-left congresswoman's reaction to him declaring on social media earlier this month, "We do not have some crazy socialist agenda, and we do not believe in defunding the police." Although Manchin, a centrist, did not mention Democratic Socialist Ocasio-Cortez by name in his message, she reacted by tweeting out a picture showing her glaring at him from behind. So, and we saw this message already here, and Manchin, if they manage to win the runoff in Georgia and the Senate goes to Democrats, Manchin is going to be the anchor to keep this in conservatism. And he is going to get ripped by everybody because he's not going to vote to end the filibuster and he's not going to vote to pack the courts. And given the fact that Kamala only comes in as a tiebreaker, that would leave Democrats down 49 to 51 on their two big pet projects. He is going to take every bit of hell in the world. Manchin's best bet for keeping his seat right now is both Loeffler and Perdue winning their seats. So, we'll see what happens from that. But yes, she very much is. All right. I got one more for you guys, and we're going to do something that hopefully restores a little bit of faith in humanity and isn't such bad, shitty fucking political news like we've been seeing all day here. And this is from ABC 13 out of Houston. Florida boater missing for 2 days found alive while clinging to his capsized vessel. From Lauren M. Johnson. A boater missing off the east coast of Florida was found alive on Sunday clinging to his capsized boat about 86 miles from the shore. The U.S. Coast Guard said on Sunday afternoon that the crew aboard a motor vessel found the 62-year-old Stuart B. and took him aboard at about 11 a.m. B. had departed Cape Marina and Port Canaveral around 4 p.m. Friday on his 32-foot boat named the Stingray. According to the Coast Guard, he was reported missing Saturday by a member of the marina who said that B. typically doesn't stay out overnight on his boat, the Coast Guard said. Saving lives at sea is our highest calling. This is a truly incredible outcome that demonstrates the bond among all mariners in our community, said Captain Mark Vlon, commanding officer of Sector Jacksonville. Thank you to our mission partners that launched into action, and to all who got the word out and to find and rescue Mr. B. The Coast Guard said it dispatched a C-130 Hercules air crew to look for B and notified mariners in the vicinity to keep a lookout for his vessel. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol also assisted in the search, the Coast Guard said. There was no immediate information on B's condition. But he's climbing the ladder, so he's healthy enough to climb the ladder, at least. And they got the dinghy out there for him, not the dinghy, but the little life preserver out there. So, yep, he is back home, safe and sound. Whether or not he has got some extending injury, we will see. He's 62 and he's been in the water for 2 days. But he is alive and at home, so good on him. All right, that is going to be it for the news today. And the last thing that we do on this program is check out what's Twitter trending. So let's get back over here, get into the Explore page and see after everything reloads. Yeah, the Hannity thing is gone. I'm really glad I said that at the top of the show. So, on trending. Giving Tuesday. That's not a Tuesday Thoughts one, so we'll do that one. Today is Giving Tuesday, which goes along on the commercial ideas of what happens after the Thanksgiving holiday. We had Black Friday. We had Small Business Saturday. We had Cyber Monday, none of which I participated in, and then Giving Tuesday. So, find something philanthropic and give a donation today. Number 2, World AIDS Day. Today is World AIDS Day, apparently. I know nothing about this. If you take it in the butt, get your HIV test, I guess. Third one that we'll do is December 1st is trending. The year of 2020 enters its final month as the calendar flips over to December. Okay, that's pretty much Tuesday Thoughts. Sky Daddy will be the fourth one that we read, which I'm sure has something to do with religion because that's what they always do. Sky Daddy is trending and it reminded me of this little gem. I'm sorry, but the God fandom is so toxic. Apparently this TikTok video seems to be what's going on with that. Let's have a listen to that one. Give me just a second here, because I've got something auto-playing. I don't know why I'm hearing Jordan Peterson right now. I have no idea. But apparently I am. So we're not going to be able to listen to this video until I go back and figure out where the hell I'm getting this from. Actually, I think I know. Yep, that was on. I found it. Sorry about that. A little bit of on-air production. Let's get back into this, and let's have a listen to what this is.
Loving her by calling her a coward? Really?
He's a coward.
You can shut the fuck up. Because they're making the best decision that they can in their situation, and you're trying to make them feel bad about it. So go off, Jennifer. Is that the validation you want from Sky Daddy? Calling people a coward?
All right, we got to listen to this one here. Now, I don't necessarily know what this was about and what led this up to this. Looks like this was an argument that went on outside of a abortion clinic. That's weird, but yeah, that's a little bit crazy. All right. And the last one for the day, hashtag capture kindness. Now let's look at Rosa Parks too, because today is Rosa Parks Day, but let's see what capture kindness is. Another trend that goes along with Giving Tuesday. It appears to be that, so give a little something to charity today, if you can. Or buy a t-shirt from Elaine. Do that too, because that also helps out. The last one that we'll look at then, we'll do a surprise sixth one here, is Rosa Parks. On December 1st, 1955, Rosa Parks refused to move to the back of a city bus in Montgomery, Alabama. Her act would help end segregation laws in the South. So yes, today is the, what would that be? 75th anniversary? 65th anniversary of Rosa Parks saying, no, I'm not going to go to the back of the bus. And good on her. You're a free people. You can sit where the hell you want. Your skin color should not determine your place in society. It never should have. Ever. It was a backwards time back then. There's so many other things. And I mean, today, that's one of the interesting things to think about is today, if Rosa Parks did the same thing, first off, it would be all over social media, and Candace Owens would be finding a way to dox her for every little criminal thing she's ever done in her past. If this had happened today. No, that's not true, because Candace Owens wouldn't be allowed to speak. But you get where I'm going with that. She'd be doxxed, everyone would know where she lives, and everybody would know everything in her criminal past if the same thing happened today. So, good on Rosa Parks. Like I said, your skin color should not determine your place in society, ever. For any reason. And that's going to be it for the day here. So, that was a good show. We will be back here tomorrow for more contemporary. I'm sure that we're going to see a whole bunch more news coming up out of this election as the legal challenges start. I'm definitely looking forward to that. So we can come out and talk a little bit more about news tomorrow. Looking forward to it as well. And if you haven't already, go back and check out the Red Net Show and the return of Elaine last night. Until then, hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for more of this. Until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.